There you have it. It's a beautiful winter for you. Everything's going perfectly well. And there it is. You have a cold, maybe you're ill. What to do now? For me, and I'm not a doctor, so that's not a medical advice, it's just my experience as a coach and a former athlete. For me, there are two main categories. Category A is you don't have elevated body temperature, no fever. That's the better of the two options. I think that's one of the mistakes many people do. They say, I got a cold. Either they train through and forget it, and then the real illness pops up, or they take it super easy. And I think none of the two options are really good. If you usually do 60 minutes endurance plus all the rest, I would reduce it to 30 minutes. And I would do 10 minutes super low. My athletes do reg, 10 minutes reg. Then you do 10 minutes at M, U to M. U and M for you guys who are not on my team. U and M is something that's easy but not super easy, and it's in lactate terms it's a 1.6 1.8 lactate. It's low steady state, but my athletes, you guys know that we separate the low steady state into many different levels. So the lowest level is 10 reg, then you have something a bit elevated of the low level, 10 M, and again 10 reg. Now the reason why we do this is we want to trigger the body a bit. We don't want to overload it because it's apparently occupied with a lot of things that are going on right now. The immune system is taking up a lot of energy. So this is not what you don't want to overload it at this time. If you don't do the 10M, which is a bit elevated in the middle, and then go down again to 10 reg, the body will not clean itself out. So the 10M in the middle basically super lightly boost the organism a bit. So it accelerates everything. And this acceleration helps to recover quicker than you would with just super low, easy stuff where you don't do anything. I would do one session like this and possibly another, and then just see how you're doing. If you are 90% recovered, 80-90% recovered in terms of perceptions or how you feel, I would gradually start to commence with the standard training plan. If you feel like, whoa, I'm not too fit, it's taking a while, taking a week, that's okay, and let it take a week. Some of my athletes feel like, I'm losing out, I'm being too lazy, I'm not doing anything. You're not doing nothing. Your body is occupied. It does something. That something is, boosting the immune system, accelerating recovery processes, so it's busy anyway. It's not like you have to do training all the time. Sometimes it's smarter to take a step back and do the right thing so you can come back in 2 weeks. What happens if you overload the body? You will probably get a serious illness because the body doesn't have enough capacities left to boost the immune system and just help fight off that cold. Can you row if you have a congested nose? Why not? Sometimes it even helps. If you feel terrible but you still have no elevated temperature, just take a walk. Taking a walk has two main benefits, I think. It's fresh air. I know not every place in the world has the best air, but usually it's pretty good. So I would take a nice decent walk, and this can be about 40 to 60 minutes. And again, you can separate it. You can have 20 minutes easy walking, 20 minutes of quite stiff walking pace, but don't exaggerate, and 20 minutes easy walking again. And this usually helps. And the better you feel if you're not at the 90% full recovered or so, the longer you can stretch these sessions up to 40, 45, 50 minutes. Generally, I recommend to do all the reg, the super easy stuff, on an erg bike. If you guys have linear ergs, and a lot of you guys only have linear ergs available, it's pretty stiff for the back. I wouldn't do that. I would do all the reg on the erg bike. Category 2, you have elevated body temperature. Now this is a simple one for the start, because for me it's 3 times 24 hours consecutively no elevated body temperature. Now elevated is everything where you have more than 1.5 degrees Celsius difference to your standard temperature. So I recommend measuring your standard temperature every once in a while. Just for curiosity. Mine, for example, is sometimes below 35 degrees Celsius. That's pretty low. But for somebody else, 36.5 is standard. So for me, if I have 37 degrees Celsius, that's already quite elevated body temperature, and I also feel it. For somebody else, it is, what's going on? Everything's good. So know your standard body temperature. So if you have elevated body temperature, what you do is take it easy, do nothing. Seriously, nothing. 3 times 24 hours consecutively, that's 72 hours. If you don't do this, you run high risk of a heart muscle inflammation. And the main thing about it is that you don't feel it. You don't feel the consequences. And this is why a lot of people say, elevated body temperature, who cares? Fever, who cares? I'm pulling it through. Wouldn't do that. The consequences are usually seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years later when you have serious heart problems. And you will have them. Because of heart inflammation, heart muscle inflammation is a pretty serious issue. And the main thing is you don't feel it. So this is why I'm pretty strict about this. Now, when should you measure temperature? My experience again, I would measure it in the morning after waking up within the first 30 minutes or so. Usually then it's the lowest. Then I would measure again 3 to 5 hours before you go to bed. So if you go to bed at 10, I would measure it around 6 p.m. Usually then it's the highest. And interestingly, the closer you come to your bedtime, the lower the temperature gets again. Usually, it's just with me and with some other people I monitor. But it doesn't have to be the case. So temperature is still usually a bit higher than in the morning. So just because at 9, 10, 11 p.m. your temperature has gone low again, it doesn't mean you're healthy. So, and I would keep these 3 times where you measure your temperature. And for me, if you don't have elevated temperature 4, 5, 6 hours before going to bed, which would be 6 p.m., this would be a good indicator. If there's absolutely zero elevated temperature, then you start to count 72 hours. Now, some of you feel like, hey, come on, I got to do training. I feel like I should do something. Relax. You don't want to run the risk of having heart muscle inflammation and some other health complications. It's not worth it. You want to be good in 2, 3, 4, 5 months. You don't want to be good next week. Now, should you race if you have elevated temperature? No. It's that simple. What if it is Olympic final? Talk to your doctor. Maybe they check you afterwards and it's worth it and everything. Okay, that's your own decision. So this may be something worthwhile talking about. But just because you entered a race and if it's not the World Championship A final, if it's not about qualifying for the Olympics, if it's not the Olympic A final, forget it. It cannot possibly be worth it. Because there's always a life after rowing. And the life after rowing usually also sees rowing. You still want to row, after your career. So I would be very strict with this. What happens or what to do when you actually have completed 72 hours without elevated body temperature? You probably don't feel too well. Then go back to the beginning of the video, start with category 1 solution and take it easy. So you want to do a couple of sessions, like 30 minutes, 10 reg, 10 M, 10 reg. You can even then do 10 reg, 10 O, 10 reg, which would be around 2 millimol. How should you judge your reg? Reg is super easy. Don't even worry about the heart rate. It can be high as hell, don't worry. Just take it super easy. What is MO? How should you judge that? A bit with heart rate, a bit with perceived load. I wouldn't take lactate, but perceived load should be accurate. My athletes know that. It's a 1 to 6 scale. So it should be a 1.5 to 2 in terms of perceived load. Yeah, and that's really it, guys. So my general advice, take it very seriously. If you have elevated body temperature, if you have fever, that's critical. But if you do 72 hours, nothing, maybe a light walk. You shouldn't be like this, but maybe a light walk of 15 to 20 minutes just to do a bit, that's all right. But usually, usually nothing is the best choice. And you don't get ill for no reason. Usually the body just needs a rest. So I will respect that and work together with my body and give it the break it needs. You can only work for so much. You can only train for so much. Sometimes the body says, hold on, buddy, it's too much. And you have to respect that. Good. With this being said, I hope you don't have a lot of colds. If you do, don't worry, follow the steps. And if you feel like something is worse, always consult the doctor. I'm not a medic, so I'm just a coach. And you always have to be aware of this. Any tip I give you, I give from a coach's perspective. Some people have special, need special treatment, special conditions, medical conditions. That's a different ballgame. And this is nothing I can know. Therefore, always consult your doctor if you're not sure. With this disclaimer being said, quick reminder, we got the spring training camp coming up now. It's going to be pretty international, pretty cool camp. I'm organizing rental boats for you guys now. It's on rmtraining.com, and it's from April 22nd to 25th. I would love to have you all here. It's just always a cool thing. A lot of video analysis. You don't have to be super competitive. As long as you just want to improve your technique, this is right for you. Most people will probably row a single, but we also organize, doubles and quads, whatever you're interested in. It's going to be in Vienna, Austria. The last years we had awesome weather. It was gorgeous. So it's going to be fun. I would love to have you all here. If you would like to prepare specifically then later on in the summer for the World Masters, just before the World Masters, we're going to have another camp in Vienna. And it's only 1.5 hour drive away from Ottensheim-Linz, where the World Masters will be. And the water body is pretty similar. So that's a great way to prepare. And this is where we're gonna fine-tune your technique, and again, a fun camp. Bring your wives, bring your husbands. A lot of my athletes actually do that, and this is also why I have it in Vienna. There's so much else you can do. It's just fun. If you want to get pro coaching, join our training programs. We have updated a lot of them. There's a lot of service included, and I'd just love to have you guys on board and work with you towards a specific goal. Yeah, and for the rest, oh yeah, quick announcement. Guys, I just got the first arm training racing suits done. We're working on hooded sweater, arm training sweaters. So team wear, arm training is gonna be awesome. Yeah, that's it, guys. No more announcement. I hope you don't get a cold. If you have questions, please put them in the comment sections below. If you have not already subscribed, please do so. I know a lot of you guys are watching without subscribing. Please subscribe. Just, it helps me to grow the channel. It's a different ball game if you have 7,000 subscribers or 10,000. So I really appreciate if you could share and help me grow that channel. Good, guys. Wish you a very good day, and I'm looking forward to see you soon in person. Bye bye.